excited to hop into the finals here.
Yeah.
See who takes it all down.
Yeah, and so we are going to wind up jumping into the finals in just a second. I do want to just very quickly bring up our bracket for all those of you that are just tuning in. We had 8 players come into the top 8, 6 different deck archetypes, and it boils down to Boros Energy and Domain Zoo meeting head-to-head in the finals. Max Walters actually looking for the back-to-back RCQ win here at Cardar. I believe he just won the previous RCQ, and then Isaac, I think this is his first RCQ here at the store.
Wow.
Maybe first RCQ. I might have heard that one, misheard that one, but either way, we got 2 of the top decks in the format getting ready to go in the feature match area. Max over on the left playing Boros Energy. Liam, you played this deck, so I'm relying on you to do this. And then Isaac on the right, he's playing Domain Zoo. I didn't play this deck. I guess I'm making it up as I go.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, so interestingly here, this is a really pretty considered to be an even matchup. The decks operate sort of in similar ways. They're both sort of just like mid-rangey creature decks. They both have burn potential, like the Boros Energy deck has like Goblin Bombardment and Ajani that can do a lot of face damage. The Zoo deck has the like deal 5 in most lists that can deal a lot of face damage out of nowhere, and they both have Phlage, which is going to be the most important card for both of them. A lot of the if one person has Phlage and another person can't find it, they're going to be the person with Phlage is going to be quite favored. If both people have Phlages, there may be a game of chicken where like if one person escapes their Phlage, the other Phlage can get hasted out and kill their Phlage. So the games might revolve on this one card as being very important. And if we don't see one, right, there might be a lot of more intricate, smaller plays that are being made with like smaller creatures. So, so far that's sort of what we're seeing.
Yeah, one of the things that the Zoo deck does, however, is its quote-unquote smaller creatures get bigger with all of its lands. So you can see this Neshoba Brawler coming down here. Triome and Shockland is basically going to be making it a 5-power creature already, as that's going to be swinging in at the Ajani, which does only wind up having, it has enough toughness to block the Brawler, but are you really trading with a 5-power 2-drop?
Yeah, we can see we didn't have the Leyline, right? Sometimes these Domain Zoo decks start with just all their colors already.
Oh, yeah.
But even if they don't have Leyline, we can see Isaac able to assemble all 5 colors very quickly here, which is Fetchlands. This Kavu that's going to come down is now also going to be a 5/5. That is an important card also, because if the Kavu gets attacks in, if the Kavu's on, as long as the Kavu's on the board and unanswered, Max can't safely put a Phlage in the bin because the Kavu can exile it when it attacks. So that's definitely a threat that's going to need to be answered before Max can enact the rest of his game plan here.
This Territorial Kavu we actually saw in the quarterfinals for Isaac also being like the card advantage engine that caught him back up in a head-to-head matchup against the Esper deck. This one just basically provided looting away all the extra lands once Domain was acquired, and then wound up going runner into Scion, and then another Brawler and another 5-power creature, which just completely took over the battlefield. So like as you mentioned, being able to play at like a little bit of a smaller kind of size here, the Domain Zoo deck is going to be the one that takes over unless you hit that Phlage like Max just did.
Right, so did he just surveil it to the bin?
I think he's actually
on
casting
end step.
it.
So
yeah,
if he's hard casting it, so okay, it will be. Wait, I'm pretty sure. So his graveyard is turned sideways. I don't know if that means it's exiled or some people just put their graveyard sideways.
I think he actually escaped the Phlage.
Yeah. I think he surveilled. Yeah, so it looks like end step surveil into the bin, which is the best thing you could hope for there, right? Because that's how you dodge the Kavu. If you spend a turn casting the Phlage, they'll just exile it with the Kavu next turn. But if you just directly put it into your bin on their end step on the perfect turn with enough mana to escape it on the next turn and enough cards in graveyard to escape it, exactly like he did, this happens. And now suddenly Isaac's potentially at the back foot or just like needs an answer.
Yeah, Isaac did have a very solid play here of we wound up seeing the cat token just attacking in so that we're going to get the flip from the Ajani. Isaac did block, but then had the lightning bolt answer there for the Ajani flip. So that's actually going to wind up putting him in a position where now it's Phlage against Kavu. Phlage is still winning this race, but we have Leyline binding off the top here from Isaac, and that's going to answer that cleanly.
That is super clutch. Like, yeah, I mean, basically any way they enter the Phlage here now means that the Kavu is the only thing on the board and can start rummaging to like keep the pressure on. And yeah, I mean, blinding just such an important find there. Max now has no graveyard, so has to start building that back up if he wants to even find the second Phlage. Oh, I think I saw Isaac's hand also.
Yeah, he's got a Phlage, he's got a lightning bolt, and I don't even think that other card matters at this point because that's going to be 8 plus 5. Right now, Max is sitting at 11. This Ajani's going to have to play some blocking duty.
Yeah. Another thing that Kavu does is it can also just bin a Phlage directly. So if Isaac finds untapped land, he can actually just escape Phlage next turn post combat. And that would be extremely powerful.
Yeah, we'll see what Isaac has to do. He did have to use that Lightning Bolt to respond to a Voice of Victory on the stack. Gets rid of the Ajani, so there's no potential for the Ajani flip here. But now you still wind up having a decent amount of board presence here from Max's side. But, I mean, you have that Phlage. If you can cast this, Voice of Victory only has 3 toughness.
Yeah, so it probably, since the land he drew is tapped, we're probably just looking at a hard cast Phlage, whereas if it was untapped, I'm not sure that, yeah, the Zoo deck plays some untapped lands, like the Shocks. Yeah, I guess we're rummaging. Oh, yeah, we could.
Oh, we have another Lightning
So the
Bolt in
Phlage,
hand.
yeah, the Phlage is still in hand. We have the Lightning Bolt. We did have, yeah, so if we'd done the untapped land, we could have discarded the Phlage and escaped it, but we didn't. So this is perfectly fine, too. Like, we just get to clear up the board and set up for next turn. And yeah, really just dominating position. One thing that Max could do is like Static Prison or Thraben Charm the Leyline Binding to get
third
his
Ajani?
Phlage back. Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, maybe if there's an bombardment to pair with it, 3 Ajani, 0 bombardments isn't really the ratio you're looking for.
Alright, so now we have these Ajani on board. We have Cat Token again, but we have Lightning Bolt again from Isaac. So it's like, this just seems like it's the same thing that's been happening over and over again.
Yeah, Isaac's draw lined up perfectly.
Ooh, discard Leyline, draw Scion, Numbo.
Yeah, I mean, yes. We're really showcasing why Kavu is like basically one of the cards that holds this deck together. It just does so much here. Like the downside of playing Leylines is that their bad draws late, so that pairs really well with the rummaging effect. And
You don't have any energy, right?
Yeah, but it
yeah,
has 2
Scion
damage.
just being hard cast here as well.
So I'll be at 0 energy.
Looks like we had a Galvanic Discharge here. Since we did have a block, it was 2 damage already assigned to the Kavu, and then with the Scion on the stack, we wind up having just the Kavu biting the bullet here. I love Hexproof wasn't on the table due to the fact. Oh, actually, there's a white permanent, right? So let me double check Scion.
Combat.
So I always mix up which one gives
right.
which. If it's white is Hexproof, blue is
It's
not
a wordy card. It's
Hexproof.
sort of a questing beast.
Yeah,
But,
blue is Hexproof. That's what it was. So it wasn't Hexproof, but still just doing it before end of turn.
So, it's funny. Choosing to dash into Ragavan, Isaac had rummaged away the 4th land in a previous turn, and I think didn't find one to be able to escape the Phlage. So, dashing the Ragavan here ensures that I'll have a treasure to be able to escape the Phlage next turn. Hitting the Phlage is funny because you can't cast that, because if you cast it, you'll put it into Max's graveyard, and then you can escape it. So you just have to leave that in exile, but not a big deal.
I think we had 6 damage coming. Do we have blocks? No, we did not. So Max should have been taking 6 damage there. So Max should be sitting at a virtual 5 at this point. And just Ragavan Season Pyromancer, not going to quite cut it here. Isaac is going to take a decently fast and decently dominant game number 1 here for the Zoo deck.
Yeah, really love to see Isaac's list indexing more into a lot of just like the stat creatures, like Nishoba Brawler and the Naya, the 1-drop, the 3/3, which is something that like I think some decks have like moved away from, and some people consider it to be a thing of the past. But Isaac just showing that like, sometimes rate just does get there, and playing a more aggressive style of Zoo, and has been having a lot of success.
Yeah, this is like stat check Zoo. It's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I have 5 power here, 3 power on my 1-drop, and the Boros Energy deck, you've been more experienced with this. It definitely thrives on having multiple things on the battlefield that work in tandem with one another, and then eventually powering them up with like Guide of Souls. But when you go pound for pound, if you play a 1/2 Guide of Souls and your opponent plays a 3/3 Wild Nicodle, you're not going to be looking hot when they follow it up with a 5 damage burn spell and a Phlage.
Yeah, so I mean the 5 damage being very powerful. Thankfully, barely doesn't kill Phlage.
Yeah.
That is one of the saving graces there. Sideboarding here, there's important cards in both matchups. Zoo has the advantage of being able to, it's like not that vulnerable itself to sweepers, and it gets to bring in sweepers against Boros. So you often see 2 damage sweepers like Pyroclasm-y type stuff come in, because like Isaac, as we said, like the Wild Nicodle and the Ninja Brawlers, they survive that. So Isaac really gets to bring those in to make it so that
Sounds good.
the non-phage plan is accounted for. And may have some graveyard hate as well for Flayed. I'm not totally sure. Or the Kavu, at least.
The Kavu's definitely
Yeah.
in there. I'm not entirely sure. So we saw Charles playing the Zoo matchup earlier. It was Zoo versus Energy, so we had a little bit of a background on that one if you've tuned into the stream a little earlier. But Charles's Zoo deck did some. Oh, sorry, he wasn't against Energy. He was against the Traverse Golgari deck.
Oh yeah,
I think he
played
played
against that one.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Charles's sideboard tech against that was Ashiok, which then milled for and exiled the graveyard. I don't think that you're going to wind up doing that against just Phlage, but I do know that the Zoo decks have some weird graveyard hate accessible because they have 5 colors.
Yeah. You can play anything. Sometimes we'll see either player could have access to like Surgical. Of course, Max is potentially also interested in graveyard hate.
Oh yeah.
Because Isaac also has Phlages of his own. Max also has access to a couple pretty potent cards in the matchup. Blood Moon, just overriding. I believe it's like a timestamps thing. So like even if like a Leyline starts in play, the Blood Moon will come down after and just override that.
Yep.
And of course, the namesake of this deck is lands with different types. Turn them all into mountains. It's pretty good. And another card that's quite good against Zoo out of Boros is Wear Tear, because not only does the Zoo deck have a lot of enchantments, it has the Leyline, it has Leyline Binding. It also has like Scion of Draco, which if you can catch it without Hexproof, you can get potentially a lot of value out of Wear Tear. So those are definitely cards that are coming in for Max, I would imagine.
And even to some extent, like the modal nature of the main deck Thrabentrons are probably good enough to keep that in there. I mean, you're probably how do you feel about how do you feel about Ragavan here in a deck that's going to be having 3 3s on the same turn you play Ragavan?
Yeah, that's interesting. Like generally, I've kind of liked Ragavan against Domain, maybe more than most. I tend to keep them because like the removal sometimes lines up a little bit awkwardly. However, it is much worse against Isaac's version. With like the Wild Nicoddles, like even if the Wild Nicoddle is not turned on, it just like chumps it. If you spend a Galvanic on a Coddle, like it's like you're not too happy about that. Ragavan, of course, much better on the play than the draw always. So that might be the difference over whether it stays in. If it's on the edge, that's often the case. In the mirror, for example, like I'll often leave some in on the play, take it on the draw, and this is sort of a similar matchup to the Boros mirror. So.
I remember that as like the go-to thing for the scam matchup too. It was like, I'm going to sideboard out my Ragavans on the draw because I just want to respond to your grief scam. And then on the play, I'm going to have that as my potential play, turn 1 play instead while you're waiting for the grief scam. And all right, so we are going to wind up going with a turn 1 crack fetch for a basic, and Guide of Souls hits the battlefield here. So the Boros Energy deck is starting off with probably one of its best 1-drops.
Yep. And notably getting the basic to put the fear of Blood Moon in Isaac, either putting the fear in Isaac's head or just has the Blood Moon. And is getting the basic for that reason. Of course, like this restricts our, if we had like wanted to double red next turn for whatever reason. But getting these, if we can have 2 planes by the time we can, if we can slam Blood Moon on curve with 2 planes in play, that means that's what you need, because then the second planes is what you need to escape play just to use Blood Moon. So that would be very powerful if that was the turn 3 play. Yeah, but I mean, a lot of the Boros curves are going to be strong.
Yeah, we have one of the strong curves here, the 1-2 punch of Guide of Souls, Ajani Phlage. That's going to wind up getting us 2 life, 2 energy, and we're pretty much off to the races right now. We're about to send some of these creatures into the skies.
Yeah, next turn we could see potentially, it's also very important to deciding which creature goes
back and forth. What wound up happening now is we were able to figure out what happened specifically with the outcome. Judge Abi talked to both players about the resolution of what was happening. What wound up happening was a rewind game state to the point of where the erroneous land count and life total was presented. What wound up happening was the players were reset to 19 to 14 life, and then the turn 3 for Max, the Boros Energy player, was now executed the way that you see currently. Abi told them to get going while he was informing us some of the stuff. So now we've gotten to a game state where the Ajani is in play. That is the second Ajani. The first one was lightning bolted. Isaac looks like that he is now going for attacks with this Kavu, and the game is continuing. This is completely new from where we were previously. So Thanks for bearing with us. It was a convoluted judge call situation, and we're ready now.
So yeah, there was a lot to back up, but thankfully, I think there wasn't a lot of hidden information relatively compared to some things. Like some things are really tough to back up because information has been revealed that you're not supposed to see.
Yes.
While this was quite a long backup, it took us a while to figure out. I think like game integrity is mostly intact here, so that's nice, and we just get to see how it plays out now.
Yeah, so we did have Isaac swinging on in here and got some damage through with the Kavu. Looks like there were no blocks whatsoever from the side of Max, so did not want to flip over that Ajani by blocking with the cat token. Does look like that in Isaac's hand. Has a decent amount of interaction too. I think I see a land that's either a Purge or a Leyline binding as well.
Yeah, so binding being an answer to flipped Ajani, which maybe Max is aware of, and that's why he's not jumping here. Yeah, flipping an Ajani on your opponent's turn and getting it binding before you have a chance to activate it even once feels pretty bad. I mean, this, yeah, we'll see what Isaac's follow-up is, but he has had a very low life total and is going to need to sort of blink first here to not die to this attack.
Yeah, I'm gonna say there is only one energy, but like a quick 1-drop, 2-drop, or something else like a second Ajani that could flip this Ajani would completely change the way things happen.
Yeah, getting an Ajani flipped, I mean, no red permanent yet. Thankfully, it's like one of the silver linings, but oh,
there's a red permanent.
Never mind. Yeah.
Seasoned Pyromancer comes on down. That's going to be, let's see if we see any cards hitting the bin.
I'll respond.
We do have a response.
Leyline binding.
Sorry.
Guys,
All right, so this is before any of those ETBs are going to happen, so none of those energy is going to wind up coming up. That Leyline binding does get spent on the Guide of Souls, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think you sort of just have to take. It's like it soaks the most damage. Like you're at 9, you really gotta just like afford yourself enough life in order to start like just buy yourself time in this spot, I think. And Guide was pushing the most damage, especially because if Max discarded 2 things to Spyro, actually it looks like if he already had 1 energy, this Spyro was going to enable Guide to jump something else. So that could just jump a token. You don't want to kill. You don't want to binding the token. So really, Guide had to go here, and it looks like do we have the second binding?
Maybe. I mean, we are fetching here, but are we shocking down to 1 at that point? I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that we're doing this now means, and not on, I guess this is on end step, so it's probably just a surveil.
We saw a white card.
Oh, there's also a Phlage in the bin, right?
I believe. Oh, yeah. There's a Phlage in Max's side because he discarded that to that Pyromancer.
Yeah. So even if Max finds the Wrath here, which was going to be the out, he just dies to the Phlage.
Well, I guess you could attack with the Kavu pre.
Oh, true. Yeah. That's true. There's also the Pyro, though.
A paragraph of text on it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think exactly that is what Isaac needs to do to survive here.
It looks like there's a Phlage in Isaac's bin as well. Unfortunately, we still haven't figured out the issue of player 2 graveyard glare.
Right, that's a tough one. And no arena. I also don't remember if that land. I don't think either player has an Arena of Glory.
No Arena of Glory is in play yet.
Yeah. So yeah, you have to exile the Phlage. Max then has another multiple Spyros to still bring back. Has another Surveil end of turn. And I also just don't think he has the Wrath, which means I don't think there's anything you can do.
Yeah, it looks like Isaac now debating because he has Kavu Leyline in hand. So if we play Kavu, attack with a Kavu, exile the Phlage, we're still dead on board, right? We have a blocker and a Leyline, but there's at least 3 damage that's getting pushed.
I'll attack, but I'll discard a Kavu.
Plus whatever Max
Oh,
does.
we're discarding drawing.
Yeah, I guess you just have to dig for the Wrath, but then you have no way to exile the Phlage, so.
It's going to be rough, and now we're debating if we want to block.
Okay.
Yeah, not the most pivotal decision in the world. does the Scion do anything? Like I always forget what that card does. Maybe it does something about forgetting that saves us. I kind of doubt it.
It does have a lot of text. I do be having a lot of text, but I think the Scion here is just kind of representative of, at this point, the Scion would only be Trample, First Strike, and Vigilance.
You have enough to escape Phlage.
I do have enough to escape.
So yeah, the Kavu just gonna be a blocker, and there's multiple ways to clean this up and attack or a Phlage escape. All right. We have ourselves a game 3?
We have ourselves a game 3. Our camera, actually, the battery decided that halfway through that game 2 was over. So it winds up taking itself out for a second.
Yeah.
But we're going to refresh the battery here. There was an extended judge call, so it was our bad for not turning the camera off in between there. But as we get into game number 3, Liam, I'm going to scooch by you,
Sure.
but I am also going to have you kind of talk a little bit more about what we may see from these players in a post-sideboard Game 3 world.
Yeah. All right. So very importantly now, see, these are both Ragavan decks, right? So we get to see the dynamic of who's keeping the Ragavan. Generally, that's the person on the play. So Isaac being on the play now means he's more likely to keep his, and Max is more likely to board him out. Turn 1 Ragavan is pretty interesting because, especially like as a Boros player, the reason I like keeping them on the play is because if you go turn 1 Ragavan, they usually just have to trade removal 1 for 1 with it, and that's sort of like a win for you, because if they just play something to block the Ragavan and you then untap, kill their blocker, connect with the Ragavan, that's pretty big, especially because these decks have a lot of live hits for each other. So that's basically one reason. That's like, for me, the main reason that Ragavan excels so much more on the play. Other than that, we're looking at a lot of the same cards from before, probably. We still haven't seen the Blood Moon from Max, but most lists run it. Same with Wear Tear. And we still haven't seen a sweeper from Isaac, but that Rummage that we saw potentially indicates that he was digging for one, and most lists do play them. So probably looking at Prior Closet there.
Oh, this is going to be a completely different game, too,
Yeah.
now that we see Leyline hitting the board immediately.
I'll pass you.
Yeah, that definitely shapes the nature of the game and could enable some of the most explosive starts out of the Domain Zoo player, like the turn 2 Scion with all of the keywords is there. Yeah, I was just about to say one of the like most important ways to stop this explosive start is Wear Tear.
And Wear Tear does wind up coming down, so both players are going to be fetching down 19 here. Isaac without that ley line. Now, this is the interesting part for the Zoo decks too, right? Because with that ley line, you are able to keep hands that you might not normally keep because it fixes your mana so well and makes all of, like, you have a Nikado or the Brawler.
Yeah.
Like, those are going to be pumped up regardless of what you do. But if you keep a hand that is light on green or light on white, that winds up being devastating for the way that you're going to have to play out your hand now.
Yeah. Thankfully, it looks like we did have a fetch, and fetches are very good at fixing. So we get the ideal land. This Thundering Falls might mean that Isaac has the other colors in hand. Yeah, there's a chance it could be a stumbling point for sure, though. And we also see the very scary planes from Boros once again.
Yeah, the very scary planes, like you said, just putting the threat of the Blood Moon in him. And it looks like Isaac does not have turn 2 Kavu, does not have turn 2 Brawler, has turn 2 Arid Mesa, and is just going to pass the turn. It looks like there was a Lightning Bolt in hand, Hollowed Fountain. So, okay, we can wind up finding basically everything we need. We are going to have a Fetch Shock, meanwhile, from Max, and that's going to be Goblin Bombardment hitting the battlefield bright and early. This is a card that definitely turns this Boros Energy deck from something that needs to get on the board and aggressive to something that can play a very long game.
Yes. Notably, the Goblin Bombardment is a card that is usually quite important in these sort of like mid-range mirrors. The fact that it does get Leyline Binding is makes it more answerable than it normally is in this slot. So that's probably something. It's a pretty appealing target if Isaac does have the Leyline Binding. Otherwise, the Goblin Bombardment is going to just sit around and be potentially annoying. Less so than if it was a Boros Mirror, because a lot of the zoo creatures sort of have like kind of big stats.
They're big. They're big butts.
You have to sack a lot of creatures to whittle one of those down. So if you're not going face, yeah, you kind of have to do a lot of work. But Boros deck is capable of making a lot of creatures. So.
All right, Isaac going down to 16 here is going to shock. Does have Territorial Kavu, so that's going to be a 5/5 here because that Endotha Triome is the swamp that we were missing.
Yeah, the fetches were a sufficient backup ley line. I mean, like, yeah, fetches are are good, it turns out. And yeah, so this Kavu now means we cannot safely put a Phlage in the bin for the turn after, and probably demands an answer. Alternatively, we could look to set up like a Guide Pride situation and go wide and start like chump pinging with the Goblin Bombardment. That is vulnerable to a sweeper, but you know, sometimes you just got to play into that. So.
Looks like, is that I think that's Arena of Glory played here.
Yeah.
Are we going for Blood Moon? No, this is Season Pyromancer, so we keep waiting for the Blood Moon against the Zoo deck, but I mean, Isaac does technically have an answer to it right now. He has the Leyline Binding in hand and an untapped white source, so you could just float the white and binding the Blood Moon.
Yeah, we saw him shock untapped, representing. I mean, it is a bit of a tell, unless it's a bluff, which is good bluff. I think in this case he does have the binding.
It could also be like Stubborn Denial, like that's a good bluff too.
Yeah, you want to fetch because you want to turn on the Kavu 5th power, so that on the Boros player's turn they can't like Galvanic plus ping it or something. I guess you could respond at that, but it's just safer to do it during your turn. But yeah, playing untapped to both represent a binding that does exist and give those options.
Oh, it looks like we did have a Phlage put in the bin off of that Season Pyromancer, as our camera's having a little bit of a temper tantrum.
Yeah,
but...
I mean, the Phlage is not long for this, I say world, but this underworld.
Yeah, this underworld. It is trying to escape from the underworld.
Yeah.
Oh, and we wind up having this Scion of Draco coming down now. So Scion is only going to be given first strike and trample. However, that does mean that blocks are basically awful.
Yeah, and the Phlage does manage to escape from the underworld, just not in the way Max is hoping for.
It escaped in the worst possible way, which was it super died.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Kavu really important in this matchup for this reason exactly. If Isaac now has a Phlage that isn't answered, I mean, the Boros deck has its own tools to answer Phlage, such as like Brave Charm and various things like that. Static Prison is a card that's vulnerable to getting like Leyline Binding itself, but it's pretty good in this matchup, I would say. It's sort of like just a catch-all answer.
Is going to want it going after the Kavu. Recognizes that one's probably the most proactive piece of cardboard on Isaac's side of the battlefield. But there's a backup Kavu, a Lightning Bolt, and a Leyline Binding in hand. So if you're Isaac right now, you have replacement Kavu, you have Leyline Binding. You've been disciplined with your binding now. Is this enough to make you pull the trigger?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I think. Wait, because Max is like not putting that much pressure. Well, I guess this Galvanic is a bit more pressure because now we can connect with our creatures. I mean, if the tutor turns sideways, we could ambush them. That is pretty appealing, actually. Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. Yeah. That's definitely some value.
All right, so we are pulling the corner on the pulling the trigger on this Leyline Binding.
Oh. I think looks like it's going after the bombardment.
Oh no, it's going after the Static Prison here.
I will block your Season
So we just get a nice little eat there.
Sacrifice it to bombardment.
Of course, the nice thing about bombardment is nothing ever truly gets eaten for no value.
Nothing ever truly dies. Oh, unless the way you want it to.
Second main, we'll play Ocelot Pride.
We have Pride, but I don't think any life gain this
I have
turn.
not gained any life this turn.
No life was gained this turn, so that's going to wind up being just a 1/1 first strike lifelink. We are going to have a fetch here from Isaac. Isaac also has the ability to cast this Lightning Bolt that he has in hand. Do you maybe attack first, see what winds up happening? Because there's no trample anymore now that the Scion is gone, so you can't do like force a block where this Goblin Bombardment becomes more awkward. It looks like we are just not shocking either, so this is probably just going to be an untap and see what happens.
Yeah, Max really would have liked something on 3. This is I am usually a fan of Season Pyromancer instead of Fable, but this is exactly one of the spots where you actually want Fable, because Fable lets you discard on your turn, and you can discard your Phlage, keeping it safe from the Kavu, whereas like what happened, like if you want to bin a Phlage with the Pyromancer, then they just get to answer it. So really like not this Kavu is really just like deterring all the potential Phlages Max could have, because hard casting is the same deal, right? You just put it in the graveyard and then it
I'll
gets
wrap
eaten.
this guy's X equals
And
1.
oh,
Wrath X equals 1.
oh yeah, maybe I guess it's just one because your Kavu's like doing more work for you than their bombardment is doing for them at this stage.
All right, so that forces the sacks here. That's gonna make it 11 all.
I will retain the energy then.
You got
We
it.
have energy counter.
Oh yeah, because he's doing this in response to the cast here. So that means that you are
I'm also
not going to have
energy.
to spend that
Is that
energy.
fine?
That is just going to chill there for a future Wrath of the Skies. And
I
now
will
Isaac,
move to
this
combat.
is a swing for
I
5.
will
Yeah.
attack. I will exile
I
your
mean,
season
at this
pyro.
point, Max, I think just
5.
needs to
I'll be
straight
at
up
6.
answer the Kavu. I mean, you could play like another Pyro and Trumpet for a few more turns. Bloodmoon should get down to a 1/1, I guess, but like you only have 1 planes, and couldn't really find the 4th land. Or maybe now would be our chance to hit the 4th land on curve, but I didn't see one, so. Oh, okay.
All right, we're doing what you suggested earlier. We have Seasoned Pyromancer, some blocks. There's another Pyromancer, and looks like an Ocelot Pride, I think, being thrown in the graveyard there. We get 2 tokens. Max gets 2 new cards, and let's see if one of them's a land. It
I
is.
think that's one of the best possible sequences you could have hoped for on that turn, honestly. Like, Pyromancer into land for a turn, Surveil land even.
We drew Leyline Binding here for Isaac.
Oh, that one's definitely going at the Goblin Bombardment.
We have Binding, Bolt, Kavu.
Attacks.
Oh wow, so Max is at effective 3.
I'll
Oh,
swing.
yeah.
I'll
So
exile
if he goes to
your
1, I mean he's probably not, but I mean
Blocks.
Yeah.
So we're probably just
really,
jumping.
really on the verge of Isaac taking this down. His first RCQ. That's not a bad debut.
That'd be hype.
So
Second main.
Max also just chump blocks. No sack.
I'll go a territory.
oh yeah, I mean
I'll pass.
maybe feeling like a bit like this is slipping away.
Oh,
Oh
sorry.
yeah, that's not
Season.
great.
Also wins.
Just when the second Kavu comes down, like I don't think Boros brings in the Wrath of the Skies
I don't think so.
in most spots. Bloodmoon would still be pretty good, especially because you can fetch planes and slam Bloodmoon. Like that is probably one of the draws actually. They could get Max back in this, potentially even flip it.
Knowing,
unless-
yes, and knowing that there's a binding that you can cast in response and then a lightning
Binding in
bolt.
hand still?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. So Isaac's playing around it.
Yeah, so if Blood Moon hits the stack,
Yeah,
you can
sure.
just,
Yeah.
before it resolves, you just Leyline Binding.
Yep.
Oh, so you Leyline Binding a blocker, right? Ooh, we're 3-bin charming the Leyline Binding to get the Static Prison back.
Yeah, you can just float your white and you can binding the Bloodmoon itself
Yeah.
even.
Yeah.
And this is going, okay, so this is going to wind up being on Isaac's turn.
2 energy.
So, okay. This buys us some time for sure.
Can I read the?
Go for it.
So Static Prison is going to enter.
Okay, it's just one trigger.
I think Isaac is waiting to see, can I Leyline Binding this in response so that my Kavu
will
does not get exiled and attack this turn.
Stag prison.
Okay.
My understanding is that this never blinks out then.
Yeah,
I
that's
believe.
nice.
Do I still get the energy?
Not only will fizzle the
So what? Yeah, what's
will the energy never
is
happen.
that you targeted this with the
Right,
ETB,
actually,
and then
it might.
this one shot.
So
is
Static
gonna
Prison is
still
interesting because
target
if you
try to
fizzle the
resolve,
trigger,
not
you
do
don't get the
anything,
energy,
and
but-
then you gain 2.
The trigger
The
happens.
trigger is
Yes.
happening because the target's illegal. It's the prison itself that's dying.
Yeah.
But yes,
Okay, so
It's like one of those things where like you could like Oblivion Ring, but then get rid of the thing forever, even though the Oblivion Ring like didn't actually target it.
Yeah.
Like the Emrakul rule with Oblivion Ring.
thankfully the new templates
See
make
if
it so
there's
that's not an
anything
issue.
spikes.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, two more Kavus coming in means a double chump or death
I
because they
will-
bolt.
And you're unaware of the death. You're unaware of the
Yeah.
bolt before Max here. So
All right,
if he-
all right.
is he gonna see
this
it?
it?
both I have
I mean,
triggers.
y-
I will
you may just double jump, but that's not
discard
good
a
either.
card and discard
Like he might try to go
discard
for.
a wild Macadal to draw a card.
Yeah, we get to
I will
rummage.
discard.
And say if we just draw
Twice?
Tribal Flames too. Oh, okay, we drew land.
Yeah, tribal flames, second bolts. There's a lot of live draws, and yeah. So
Max is going to
Max
block.
is going to stall for the max amount of time possible.
Again, does not sack to the Goblin Bombardment though. He's feeling the pressure.
Pass.
Hands through the hair.
Yeah, I don't think you can fight through the ley line in Isaac's hand. That's key. The fact that he's held on to that, just like
You're at
covers
5.
all his bases.
Up on A5, yep.
Max goes down to
incredible.
5. We're gonna surveil.
Oh wait, he didn't hold on. So he's down to the bullet. He used the second. Wait.
No,
Yes,
he used the
sorry,
second
yes.
ley line. Second
Okay.
ley line
Yes,
because
yes,
the
yes,
first
yes,
one
yes.
was one getting destroyed, but he held that ley line for at least
Right.
2 turns in hand.
So there's been one ley line on the field at any point, but it's now a different ley line. But yes, I mean, still not a lot of draws for Max.
Static prison here, but I don't think that's gonna be enough.
Yeah, I mean, you need to answer both. Oh, the classic Hail Mary, Surveil Phlage into the bin. That's what this is. Actually, would that be lethal? Wait, that would be lethal, right? He's an arena. So if he knocks it off of his deck and surveils Phlage into the bin, I think he wins. And that's what this is going to come down to. Is that?
That's
Am I seeing this
That's
correctly?
what's
He goes down to 4, so he doesn't die to the bolt. Yeah. And he just knocks it off of his deck. All right, let's see it. Phlage.
Oh, this is a consideration, so that's not the Phlage.
The Phlage. Okay.
It was a Guide of Souls, and that's wild that there was still a pathway to victory there for Max.
No.
But that is going to be
yeah,
Isaac
totally.
Pizarro, his first RCQ here at Card Art. He's going to be
I thought you had, like, a
taking
Tribal
it
Flames
down
trying to save
2
it for,
matches to 1,
Yeah.
drops a
Like,
single
anymore.
game, all top 8, and
Wow.
winds up being the 3rd and final regional championship qualifier here at Card Art.
Wow.